I thought it was a great opportunity. I mean, she really might be our next president, and I definitely wanted to hear her. And I have been trying to go to as many things as I can. I went to the Harkin Steak Fry. That was really cool. And the Hillary campaign, like the student campaign, was advertising it on campus, and so that they would give anyone rides who wanted to go.
And so you took a ride.
So I got a ride. On the way over there in the car, they asked me if I would ask the senator a question. I said, sure, I'd love to ask her a question. And when we got there, we were there a little bit early, they brought me to one of the senior staffers. And he asked me if there was any question I wanted to ask. And I kind of thought about it, and I said, yeah, can I ask how her energy plan compares to the other candidates' energy plans? And he said, well, I don't think that's a good idea because I don't know how familiar she is with their plans. And then he showed me in his binder, he had a piece of paper that had typed out questions on it, and the top one was planned specifically for a college student. It said, like, college student. When I asked him how it worked, he said, raise your hand. When she asks for questions, raise your hand, and she'll call on you.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know for sure that she knew in advance, but there were like 200 people there, and everyone was raising their hand. I was 1 out of 4. That doesn't seem random exactly. What they had typed out on the paper, it said, college student in brackets, and then the question was, as a young person, I'm concerned about the long-term effects of global warming. How does your plan combat climate change?
And what did you think of the answer she gave?
I mean, she definitely wasn't reading something that was memorized or scripted. She was really answering the question, and she answered it well and talked about her plan.
But you would have rather asked the question that you came there having already.
Right. That's why I was really curious to see how her plan compares to other candidates as an undecided voter, as I'm trying to decide who I want to be representing me.
So looking back on this now, do you have a different opinion of her as the candidate?
I mean, it's possible that all campaigns do these kind of tactics. I don't know. But personally, I want to know that I have someone who's honest representing me. And I think the question and answer sessions, especially in Iowa, are really important. That's where the voters get to have like a real genuine conversation with this politician who could be representing them, and they get to voice their concerns. And something, when you're planning the questions in advance, that just takes that whole conversation out of it, takes the voter out of it. Just being truthful in the end is always the best way.
When they were approaching you to ask the question, did it dawn on you at all to maybe just disregard it and say, no, I'm going to go with what I originally wanted to ask? While you were sitting there listening to her speech, did you think, well, I could just ask her what I wanted to ask in the first place?
I mean, it seems silly, but it really just didn't occur to me what the implications could be until a long time afterwards. I was excited to be able to ask the senator a question. I really just didn't think about what the implications were until much later.
So I guess you kind of wanted to ask your original one, but were you sort of scared about what would happen if you did and didn't ask the one that they gave you and you said you'd ask them?
Well, I'm not I like to be agreeable when I can. Now that I had, talked to the staffer and agreed to ask the question, I didn't want to go back on my word.
Okay. It's an interesting, case because so far in this campaign we haven't seen many examples of this, and to my knowledge, none with this campaign yet. Does it? When the media attention started coming after the article appeared in the Scarlet and Black newspaper,
if I was going to be able to look over the story, if I was going to be able to revise anything, and so we ended up having a meeting with this man from the campaign on the phone, the intern, a few people from the newspaper, and myself.
And what happened at that meeting?
Not much.
So, okay, say that again. You met with one of the interns from the campaign, the reporter, yourself, and the senior staffer. Was it the staffer who gave you the question, or was it a different guy?
No, it was the man he's in charge of publicity for the Hillary campaign for the state of Iowa.
Oh, okay.
And he was on the phone. He talked to me, He talked to intern, and he talked to the student who reported the story.
Okay. What was his name? Do you remember?
No.
Okay. But it was the director of communications in the state?
He said he was the head of publicity
Okay.
for Iowa State.
Okay.
And the outcome of that meeting was, everyone just was kind of okay, and the intern said, and the campaign would like you to, let's just not talk about it anymore. The campaign wants you to not talk about it anymore.
That's what they said at the meeting. This was before it had been published, correct?
That was the night before the paper came out. So then it was a couple days before the national press picked it up. I didn't really think about it again until Friday night. I got a bunch of phone calls. You're on the homepage of Fox News. And I don't have really bad feelings about it. I'm disappointed. I'm maybe a little bit jaded about our political system. Because
of this one?
I don't know that any other campaigns do things like this, but I feel like it's fairly likely if one campaign does it, there's a high probability that some other campaigns do it. And everyone always is kind of skeptical about high-level politics, but to experience that firsthand is a little bit discouraging. Maybe I'm just the idealistic young college student, but it was discouraging to see that.
So you have more of a negative outlook on politics now?
I do. But on the other hand, the press has represented me accurately and have all been respectful. I mean, some have been really pushy, but it's emails, which I can just delete, or phone messages on my dorm phone, which if it really comes to it, I can unplug it, So it's not like I'm getting harassed in any way.
How many emails did you delete so far, do you know?
I've saved them all so far.
Oh.
Kate said that I should save them and print them out so I can show them to my grandkids.
You could make a scrapbook out of it, I'm sure.
Right. The only interaction I had with the campaign after my meeting with the SMB was one of the interns sent me an email after it broke nationally and said, here's all the places where the story is on the web. He said, remember to talk to the campaign if anyone from the press tries to talk to you. But I'm not under any real obligation to do that.
Yeah.
And I haven't talked to them anymore.
So, do you plan to anymore?
The campaign?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Why not?
I felt like I wanted to get the whole story out just so that people can know the truth. I feel like voters have the right to know what really happened. And other than that, that's as much as I feel like I need to do.
What are you studying here at Grinnell?
I haven't declared a major. I'm a sophomore, but I'm probably going to do political science or religious studies, or a combination.
What would you like to do in political science or religious studies if you could pick any ideal job?